Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI, the podcast that connects marketing to your business's revenue and covers everything you need to know to stay up to date in this crazy digital marketing world.
Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI. I'm your host, Shannon Allen, here with my co-host, Krystal Vivian. Hi, Krystal.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm good. I thought I'd tell our listeners that it might sound like you're in a bubble, but that's just because you have that Christmas cold everybody seems to be getting.
Yes, everybody, tis the season to be sick.
Tis the season. You're sick.
Yeah.
Maya's sick. Your husband's sick.
My husband luckily has not gotten it yet. And I'm fingers crossed that he doesn't get it. With a toddler, it's this time of year, I just expect to be sick for the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. I was sick for like 3 months straight. So I'm pretty much expecting to do the same thing. But
it is the toddler thing. I will say, knock on wood, I don't think I have been sick hardly at all this year. And this podcast will play in January, but we're coming up to the holidays. And it's like, if I get around somebody that sniffles a little, which is why Krystal and I are doing this through Zoom.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, stay away from me.
Yeah, I don't want to infect anybody. It's one of the perks of working from home or being able to work from home is that I can still get things done, but I don't have to worry about spreading my ick.
It is. But this was one that I've been excited for. We did it last year, but this is a full year of it, of what were our favorite podcasts in 2024.
Well, first of all, we had so many podcasts because we had the full year of doing it. So we had 24 podcasts plus
all of our Tip Tuesdays.
Low key, some of my favorite episodes were our Tip Tuesdays. I think we had really good tips.
Yeah, I know. When I was going through the list, you something that grabs your attention, that's the headline. And I think that's what today is about. I asked all of our team members, our sales team, our campaign team, your team, just to pick their favorite episodes. Now, a great example is how many are listening. That was what I wanted to know. A few of them got back to me right away, and I'm like, hey, listen.
Yep.
So there was, like you said, there was 24 episodes to choose from. Ironically, the ones that we're going to go through, I think I highlighted, there was about 8 of them because there were a few of us that picked some of the same ones. I waited for everybody to pick, and I chose one because I had a couple favorites. So I think we'll just dive right in, and you and I are just going to talk these through. This is definitely just revisiting the things that I think are going to really still continue to be important in 2025, right?
Yes. I think we'll notice a trend. What our team loved the most is definitely things that are still going to apply. We're going to be talking about even more. Let's start. You want to start off with Jessica's favorite?
Yep. So Jessica's was episode number 21, which there's no surprise. Those that do not know Jessica, she is one of our digital marketing consultants that handles a lot of the cannabis clients.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, her episode 21 was how digital marketing drove $91,000 in revenue for a cannabis company, which just that headline alone hopefully grabbed people's attention. Right?
Yes, I wrote it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good job. So this is what Jess said. She said, I like this one the most because it's about my number one client and Cannabis Digital Solutions. She says, this highlights the first 3 months, which was a trial run that we did to start them off. We used precise audience targeting with appropriate compliance for the programmatic display. And we also used video, CTV, and OTT, which allowed us to show a 4-time return in a 3-month trial. So this was a really big deal. I actually think we added the connected TV after the 90-day run. I don't know if it was part of all of it, but the biggest numbers that I took away from all of this was, yes, we tracked $91,000 in revenue because this particular client is connected to a point of sale system that we can track cart visits, right? Like a retail point of sale system, as well as we knew what their average cart was as somebody walks into the store. So we could track physical visits with an average spend. And we did a very low average spend of $50 per visit. So we tracked $91,000 during that 3-month trial, and they only spent $25,000. So they netted $66,000, which when I ran the math, I had to do it a couple of times. I'm like, it was a 264% return on investment.
Holy cow. Like, I think that's one of the best episodes and honestly one of our best case studies because it's so powerful. And I wish that we could do this for all the industries that we do, like cannabis, where we're able to track the revenue so precisely. You saw this ad, you made this purchase. That's one thing that I wish that we could do more with all of our clients. And I think sometimes with clients, it's a little bit easier in other industries too. But wow. And that was a great episode too. We had a great conversation, but just telling that story, like what a remarkable story about how powerful the right digital marketing strategy can be for a business.
Well, we had done a podcast like a month or so prior, just really introducing cannabis digital solutions to everybody. And then the fact that we could turn around and do a case study within a couple months to show our other clients out there how valuable. So Lori Akey, who is one of our campaign specialists, also said it was one of her favorite podcasts because the rules around cannabis are so different and we can show a clear trail of the money that our campaigns are bringing to them. So this is what the podcast is about, right? ROI at its best. I could have made this one of my favorites as well. I think you and I enjoyed it because anytime we can do case study conversations, those are some of the best.
Yes, I agree 100%. I think that should be on our list for 2025 is do a few more case study episodes.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Why don't you talk about Emily Weidman, who's one of our regional sales managers? Why don't you give our listeners some insight on what her favorite episode was?
Yeah, if you know Emily, this is no surprise. I could have predicted this myself. Her favorite episode was number 32, How to Get the Most Out of Your Marketing Report. And she said that she liked this one because we didn't just talk about, oh, here's data, here's what you need to review. We actually went into different ways to evaluate performance. It's not just about clicks, but it's about really how it impacts the business. And then we were also talking about the SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And I think I agree with Emily. I think that was a really incredible episode because it really is, success is not going to look the same for everybody, right? Very similar to the case study with CDS, we can't show that exact ROI for everybody because how they're measuring it is different. For them, it's what we can see in the cart. For another business, it might be units sold. Whatever their goals are, it's unique to each business, but being able to tie the reporting, tying the numbers to the results, I think is so powerful. Being able to set those numbers with their goals, I think is really good. And I agree that was a good episode.
I also, you said this earlier, that this was probably one of yours too, because handling the content and the social on your side, we know there's return on investment in that, but you don't always get to touch it and feel it the same way we do. But in the reporting, this message to me, if our listeners were our clients, I think if you're not one of our clients, you need to think about, are you getting what you need out of your reporting? And, this time of year, while we're doing year-end reports, it's so important and valuable to make sure whoever you're working with is giving you the data that you can connect the dots. And we had a repeat of an episode just because it was so good. And I had to pick which one should I redo. This was one of them I looked at because I think if you're a listener and you're a business owner and you're working with a marketing agency, or you're even working with us, you really need to think about how valuable that hour is that we walk through this report and what you should bring from it.
Well, and what I think is really interesting for me about the way that we do reporting is that it's not just, oh, here's the numbers and here's the numbers and you had 73 here and 67 here. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air.
Yeah.
You're really telling the story about the consumer journey and about how we got those consumers to become paying customers and then how it impacts their ROI. And I think that's really powerful. And if you're not getting that, if a business owner is not getting that from their marketing partner, they should be demanding it.
They should be demanding it. Absolutely. Well, this next one comes from one of our senior sellers, Angela Todd, and it's on the topic that we're going to talk a lot more about even as we kick into 2025 is connected TV, OTT, streaming video. Like every time we talk about that, I feel like we get a boost in our listeners because this is something they want to continue to be educated on. And it changes so constantly. Angela's favorite was number 34. This is the one with Ryan Arnold, who is our main connector for Simplify. And he came in to do a guest visit with me. And I love that we got to be in the studio together. And this was the success of streaming TV for advertisers. So here are the things that Angela said she liked about this episode. She noted that she took stats of how over 50% of people are viewing their content through streaming. We know we've hit that tipping point. We're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. Number two, why streaming TV? So she says it was evident in the numbers that this is the area to invest in. Efficiency with working with one partner versus broadcast TV. And this is a really good point. This is the lesson that I could give an entire episode on, which is we all sell streaming video. Why would you just want to choose to be on CBS or NBC or ABC when you can be on a programmatic run and target the consumer wherever they're at? And by the way, they're not just watching that linear TV anymore. They're watching every other streaming platform out there. One of the stats that sticks out in my mind from a meeting I had yesterday was that the NFL is starting to move where you can watch and consume your content. And that I don't remember what game it was, but Peacock set a game up, an NFL game that brought in 2.9 million subscribers during that time by pushing it out there. Yeah. That's powerful to show. Why would you choose? Like now you're choosing a platform instead of saying, yes, they're watching the local CBS station.
Well, and it's really smart of the NFL, I think, to, and I say this, we watch every football game. We watch football Thursday nights, Sundays, all day, Monday nights. We're watching every football game.
Yeah.
I think it's really smart of the NFL to partner with different streaming providers and being able to do that. But we pay for Amazon Prime because of Thursday Night Football, now also because of the shipping. We got a Peacock subscription because of Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
We were going to cancel Netflix, but then Netflix announced that they're going to be hosting the Christmas Day games. So, well, we have to be able to watch the Christmas Day games. So I guess we're going to keep our Netflix for another month.
And my advertiser yesterday, he's frustrated with that, but you don't want to miss out on it. But this is why I go back to, you still don't have to choose to buy from Peacock or to buy from Netflix or to buy from Prime. You are just buying programmatic OTT and targeting the consumer wherever they're at.
Well, yeah, you're buying the audience and not the content, because it doesn't, because truly at the end of the day, like, yes, if you want to just blanket branding, buying broadcast to as many people as possible, sure, then you could buy a football game or something like that. But really, it's going to be a lot more successful if you're selling cars, if you are only serving ads to people who are in the market for a new car.
Oh, 100%. Well, we kind of jumped off here, but there was two more points that I thought were really important that Angela noted, that why she loved the episode. Targeting is spot on with streaming and can be more cost effective in the long run, which we totally agree on. And I really like this one. Smaller, more local businesses are now able to compete with the bigger, more national type of brands, but now it's on a local level. So we're starting to see more of that local, and you're able to compete, right?
Yes. I like seeing a lot more local advertisers on my streaming videos, because we're cord cutters. That's all we do is streaming video. So,
all right. So we covered Angela. Let's talk Rory Kemmer, one of my digital marketing consultants out of Fort Wayne. She loved episode number 20, which was OTT Trends to Watch with David McBee. David and I have been friends for years. He's a trainer for Simplify. Rory says, I loved this episode in part because I learned so much from an interview format. I felt that his attitude about the importance of video made it so apparent that those who aren't doing OTT right now are truly missing a vital part of their marketing strategy. Rory notes, I took a bunch of notes during this episode and I would love more interview episodes in 2025, which I love. That's great, Rory. Keep taking those notes. I think for me, one thing that stood out to me from this episode, we did this in early 2024 with David. He mentioned how right now you may only be seeing one local guy that's advertising with a lot of bigger advertisers. So this is something Angela just touched on a little bit when we talk about CTV streaming. But at some point, that little local guy is going to overtake the big guy. And that is really the biggest trend that we're going to see in the upcoming years. So this is what David said in the early part of 2024. What I believe has already happened, he said in the next coming years, I think we move so much quicker past that. I think that this is already starting to happen. And I think coming into early first quarter, we are going to continue to see more local businesses. And I can tell you from our clients' perspective, that is probably our number one upsell this year. Is it was such a big year for video strategy, and we're going to see more video marketing from our clients than ever before.
And it makes sense because you're following the consumer journey. And we talked about earlier, there's a tipping point now with OTT where more people are streaming video than are watching broadcast TV. We are at that tipping point. And when we get that consumer behavior where now there are fewer people watching broadcast TV, why are we spending, like we want to follow the consumer where they are.
Right. Yep. Well, Rory actually gave us 2, and I love that I had a lot of reps that did that. So why don't you give us Rory's number 2?
Yeah, her second favorite one was episode number 23, Why Work with a Digital Agency. This was the episode that Carly and Angela were on with you, which was really fun because there are 2 senior digital marketing consultants. And so hearing their experience and their expertise was just so wonderful. Rory said that she thought that it was really great because it just really reiterated the benefit of working with us instead of hiring someone or doing it yourself, or hiring somebody who is specializing in your niche, but not necessarily is going to be custom to your business. And she uses this one for sending to prospects, whereas some of our other podcasts are a little bit better for active clients, which I think is really wonderful. So that's a good.
Yeah. And I think just the title itself is like, I don't think everybody needs to work with a digital agency if their needs are not at the level that some of our larger clients are. But half the battle with working with the digital agency, especially like in social management, is do you have the time to do it yourself when it comes to certain aspects of a digital agency? Some of the things that we do, clients couldn't do themselves. Right. And we know better than ever, like even if we partner with somebody on social marketing, we do, and I don't want to call it filler ever, but we still expect our clients to put their own touch on their social management, but you can't do it all yourself.
We want to partner with you and help you be able to do that more effectively. And so many businesses think, oh, well, I just need to post promotions about my latest sale or something like that. And that doesn't really work anymore. It is all about entertainment. And if you're a business owner, you did not start your business to go viral on social media or to create a reel or to figure out what kind of carousel post works the best. Being able to partner with us, we can help show off your business in a way that is true to your business, but also fits the platform.
Yep. So Carly Mandigo, we just were talking about her on this episode. She's one of my senior sellers, and she said that her favorite episode was number 28, which was top marketing challenges for small businesses. So Carly says, I really like the top marketing challenges for small businesses. I love the first stat that you shared because I hear it all the time. And oftentimes we get a meeting because people feel like their current strategy just does not work or they can't tell it's working. So I went back and pulled the transcript, and the stat that I gave was 73% of small business owners are not confident that their current strategy is contributing to their business goals. That's a big number. And a lot of the episode, you and I kept going back to that number, which is when 3/4 of our audience is saying, like, I don't know if it's working. I don't know if the strategy is right, right? Carly goes on to say, I also loved how you talked about how marketing is more than just advertising. It's the layout of your store. It's your signage. This is often never really talked about, but can really tie into your overall approach. Carly's talked about the new Meijer stores, completely remodeled. If you haven't walked into a Meijer's lately, and Carly says it makes her want to go in and spend money. It's laid out so nicely, organized aesthetically. It's very pleasing to the eye. She says it makes me want to go in, and I never go into that store. I'm an avid grocery picker-upper, right? So their operations and marketing team work together on this one and has really paid off. There's more to marketing. There is so much more to what we do for small businesses to think about. Everything is still about that consumer journey, and whether that's an online consumer journey or an in-person consumer journey. Like, we love those in person. So you've got to finish the sale. Yes. You market to them, you bring them in the door, and you close the sale.
Yes, you need to have a great experience every step of the way.
Great experience.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, I'm going to kind of switch it over to you. I think we'll wrap this up with what was yours and mine. So how about, let me ask you, done a lot in the last year and a half, and we could probably sit here and go on and on, but what was your favorite podcast of 2024?
So I think I have two. The first one is, I feel a little bit selfish picking this one, but it was the first episode we did of 2024, and it was with my team. And it was where we had Joe and Melissa and Emily.
That was one of my favorite to do as well. I love that.
Yeah. We talked about the social media trends for the year. It was really fun because I feel like my team, we work individually with clients, but you don't really get to see us all together. And so it was fun just to hear our camaraderie and the jokes and the sense of humor. Like, my team is really funny. I just have to say that they're really funny people, which is why they're good at what they do. They're creative. They have good comedic timing, but they're also very knowledgeable about what they do. And I think it's also fun to go back and listen to that and hear how many of those things were true. Mm-hmm. And also how many of those things are going to continue to be the focus for 2025. And I know that we'll do another version of this for 2025 in January or February. But I really liked the social trends one. My other favorite one is one that I think Melissa Wyrick, also, who's one of my team members, said that she really liked, which is how a startup business can get started with marketing. And I really liked that one because it was a little bit of a different take. You had met with somebody who said, hey, I'm a small business, or my friend is starting in this business. What kind of advice can you give them? And instead of replying to the email, we did a podcast episode about it, which I loved.
Yeah. But we did. Yeah. That was kind of fun. And I'm sorry. I realized too that I wanted to go back to Melissa's because I love, Melissa's your writer. She's your social writer. She's your blog writer. She's content. And I love that was hers.
Yes. Yeah. She has a really good business mind. And I think her point of, there's a tipping point of when you actually need to start getting out and getting help. Right. And we're so good at talking about the things that we help with, but I think it was also good to talk about what do businesses need to do to get to that tipping point of when they actually need help from an agency. And Melissa said that I feel like some businesses even get the process rolling without knowing how much work truly goes into owning a business and how consistent that work has to be over time. I think this podcast is helpful for people starting out because you see so many businesses get off the ground, but then they flop. And if people concentrated more on how to get started and also focused on their short-term and long-term goals, there would be a lot more successful startups out there, which I think is really a really good point.
That's a good point.
So that was one of my favorites too. So what about for you, Shannon? What was your favorite podcast of the year?
The original one you talked about the very first time of the year, just because it's fun when there's a big group of us. I mean, you and I can go on and on. I also love having the team on, but I actually picked something because it was something that resonated that I said when I went back and re-listened to the episode. The topic was OTT and advertising budgets in 2020-24. The stat that I loved is that in 2024, that streaming viewership has surpassed linear TV, which we've already been talking about. So you asked me a question, it has the advertising dollars caught up to that? So the stat was that advertisers only spend about 29% of their TV budgets on streaming, even though viewership has surpassed it. And that's a big, so 70% of people haven't caught up. And this was partway like in the spring that we did this episode. I think the thing that resonated with me, and it was also one of Lori Akey said this was her second favorite, and it was for the same reason, is that we have to remind our clients that to stop thinking about the consumer journey of their own products and service from their point of view and start thinking it from the consumer point of view, right? Lori actually said, I think people don't realize how many people are streaming. So they don't realize how many people they're missing by not doing OTT. Stop planning your marketing based on your habits. That's so important for anybody listening to this, because I was in a client meeting yesterday having that conversation, because I think it's so important to realize there's so many people that are like, well, I make good money. I pay to not have advertising. And, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I would have said the same thing. Like, I think I'm bougie and I don't want to waste my time. But recently I was paying for Hulu. I was paying for HBO Max. I had canceled Disney Plus, and they're all owned by the same company, right? They're all owned by Disney. And so they changed and did a bundle. You can now get Hulu, you can get Disney Plus and HBO Max with ads for $7 a month. They were running a special.
That's great.
And I was like, instead of paying $40 a month I'm going to pay $7. Oh yeah, I'll watch the ads. And if you would asked me 2 years ago, would I have done that? I would have said no. And so I think what this podcast was about is, when are we going to see advertisers' budgets catch up to what's truly going on with OTT? And we said earlier, I think we're there. I think 2025 is the tipping point. We already did the tipping point of viewership changing. I think we're going to see advertising budgets get into that 50% mark, into that 60% mark using video strategy.
Yeah, I hope so, because it certainly makes sense, and it will lead to a lot better return on investment for the businesses overall because they could track it.
Yep. 100%. Well, this was fun. It was a great way to end the year. Our listeners are going to hear this the first part of the year, but for everybody else, we're kind of wrapping up here. I can't wait for 2025. It's going to be a good year.
Me too. I am so excited. I think it's going to be great. To our listeners, spend some time going back to a couple of these episodes, because there's a lot of really good nuggets in there. And then if you have topics that you want to talk about, or you want us to talk about, or if you have case studies that you want to do, send us an email.
Go to our contact us form. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Send us a message on Facebook or LinkedIn, but we would love to get some feedback and hear about the things that you guys want to talk about. No matter what, I think that we will have plenty to talk about in 2025, and I'm very excited.
I think we will. And I have a feeling, I think this is going to be a stat year. I'm excited, Krystal. I don't know how to say it any differently, but I think this is going to be the year that we start to see big changes. That's it for today's episode. I'm Shannon Allen, your host, here with Krystal Vivian. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for Digital Marketing ROI.
You've been listening to Digital Marketing ROI from Federated Digital Solutions. Do you have an idea for a future episode or a burning digital marketing question? Text ROI to 45364 to get a link where you can share your idea. Subscribe to get new episodes every other Thursday, plus Tip Tuesday insights every week.
Podcasts by Federated Media.